We're playing Hex Magic from Marvel Superheroes and Legacy Ruby Storm. I think it's quite the upgrade. Let's go check it out. In front of you is Legacy Ruby Storm featuring Hex Magic from Marvel Superheroes, a sorcery for 2 and a red, 3 mana total, and it's an arcane spell, which means that you can actually splice Desperate Ritual onto Hex Magic as an added benefit, which is pretty sweet. And then you exile all cards from your hand and then draw that many cards until the end of your next turn. You may play the cards exiled this way. A lot of people are comparing this to Wheel of Fortune. I don't think it's quite that, but it is a really, really powerful spell in Legacy, and in my opinion, it's more comparable to the Red Windfall than Wheel of Fortune. That said, Windfall is still a card that is banned, and I think Hex Magic is pretty darn close to Windfall, which means that we should be playing it in any deck we can, like Ruby Storm. And Ruby Storm has the added benefit because you can make it the mana value, or cost I should say, of Hex Magic reduced by Ruby Medallion and Real Monsoon Mage, so you could even play Hex Magic for a single red mana, which is pretty sweet. So this is a deck that I featured several times over the last year due to Storm of Memories, which is a really powerful spell in this deck. And due to Hex Magic's mana value being 3, you can play Hex Magic off of Storm of Memories, which is an added benefit. Let's talk about the card that was cut for Hex Magic. We ended up cutting 3 main deck copies of Jessica's Will, a card that I've never really loved in this deck, if I'm being honest with you. In Ruby Storm, I feel like Hex Magic is sort of a little disappointing. So in a deck like the Epic Gamble, which is a more all-in turn 1 combo deck, you can play Jessica's Will on the first turn for somewhere between 5 and 7 mana. Ruby Storm is not really a deck that does that because you're not really a turn 1 deck, you're a turn 3 deck. And by then, Jessica's Will doesn't have enough cards in your opponent's hand to make all that much mana. Okay, you're realistically making like 1 or 2. Okay, well then what about the guaranteed 3 cards? Yeah, I guess you can guarantee 3 cards, but Hex Magic is most likely going to do that anyway. So Hex Magic has the upside of potentially more than 3 cards. Yes, Hex Magic doesn't make mana, but we really don't need it to in a deck with Rite of Flame, Desperate Ritual, and Seething Song anyway. So Hex Magic, in my opinion, just has a much higher ceiling than something like Jessica's Will. And on top of that, Jessica's Will, those 3 cards can only be played until the end of this turn, where the cards off of Hex Magic can be played until the end of next turn, which is a pretty big difference. And then in the sideboard, I got rid of the defense grids. In my last league, I didn't feel like they were particularly good, if I'm being honest with you. We were playing them because of Storm of Memories being a storm spell. You want to protect it from something like Consign to Memory, but that never really came up. Yes, you can play Defense Grid off of Ancient Tomb, I'm well aware, but with only 2 copies, it just wasn't reliable. And with a lot of really fast combo in Legacy right now, I thought a couple copies of Mindbreak Trap could not hurt. And one nice thing about having Mindbreak Trap in your sideboard is, eventually when you're winning the game, you can make 2 blue mana off of Manamorphose, and then play your Wish, and then use Mindbreak Trap to exile all copies of Consign to Memory on your lethal copy of Grape Shot. So it's added protection as well, which is another reason we were already playing the defense grid for Wish. So Mindbreak Trap is sort of doing double duty here, which is really nice to see. And I mentioned that Ruby Storm is really a turn 3 deck. Having Mindbreak Trap helps you get to turn 3, so that way you could actually leverage the Hex Magic as well, which I like. So that's what we're doing today. Hopefully you enjoy it. I will have an updated sideboard guide over at theepicstorm.com/shop by the time this video is live. So if you're interested, go grab that sideboard guide there. But that's all I have for now. So thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. And I will see you in match number 1. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop, or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Match number 1 with the Legacy Ruby Storm. We're on the play versus someone who usually plays tempo decks. Unfortunately, there's no lands in this hand. We must mulligan. This is fine. We'll bottom one of our 3 copies of Ruby Medallion. Play Ancient Tomb, Ruby Medallion. Pass the turn. They have a Polluted Delta for a Volcanic Island and Ponder. They play Lotus Petal, so Sneak and Show. Another Ancient Tomb. We'll play the Sandstone Needle. Play Ruby Medallion. Pass the turn. It's interesting. This person usually plays Tempo decks, so I'm a little surprised to see that they're playing Sneak and Show today. Or what I assume is Sneak and Show at least. They play a Scalding Tarn. And now we'll play Hex Magic for 3. So the same as Jessica's Will in this spot. Except I'll have an extra turn to play these cards. We'll play Seething Song. I guess I could have played the Mountain from Exile first. They're going to Brainstorm. But I mean, if the Seething Song resolves, I want to play the Ancient Tomb so that way I have access to more mana, but maybe that's silly. Alright, it does resolve. We'll play Reckless Impulse, because if I hit a Manamorphose, this Hex Magic can do more things. We'll play another Ren's Resolve. Burning Wish. Okay. I'm not sure what I'd like to do with that wish. I could Storm of Memories. So let's play the Burning Wish. It resolves. I think we do just grab Storm of Memories here. Play the land. Storm of Memories. So we need that Seething Song to resolve. We'll play Ren's Resolve. Currently cannot cast the mana here. And our opponent concedes. Wow. Okay. I'll take it. No plan or intention to sideboard here. I don't think we necessarily need something like Blast Zone because they're not a Deafening Silence deck, or at least I don't assume they are. So I think we just resubmit. We got to see the two newer cards, I'll say, within the last year or so really shine this game one. Storm of Memories and Hex Magic. Hex Magic was essentially the same as something like, Jessica's Will there, because it did see 3 cards. But Storm of Memories really did some heavy lifting. And I get a lot of people that are really upset on all of my videos because I'm a bonus round hater. And I think the thing is, a lot of content creators like playing bonus round because you get to post these screenshots with 3,000 mana floating. And while that's cool, and I'm not trying to deny anyone their ability to post screenshots, it's not necessarily the best thing for win percentage. And I am ultimately just trying to work on the deck and try to make it better. And better does not mean 2,000 mana floating. While that's cool, I think it's kind of win more. So I'm not really interested in doing that. We'll just play a mountain here and pass. So no, you're not going to see me playing bonus round. I'm trying to optimize the list for success so that way that the people that want to play Ruby Storm have something competitive that they can choose to do with a real budget option in Legacy. So that's sort of my point here. And I don't think, I think we're actually going to just pass here because if they play a show and tell, I can put in the Rail Monsoon Mage and then try to just cast a bunch of spells. But yeah, I'm just trying to make the best deck I can. That's really my goal. And they're just continuing to pass. We draw another land. I'll play another mountain. Pass the turn. They Brainstorm. I have to hope we're not dead. They fetch for a Thundering Falls. They play a Flooded Strand and still nothing. 6 cards in their hand. Manamorphose. Let's try Rail Monsoon Mage. They Force of Will, exiling Force of Will. Alright. We'll play a mountain. Reckless Impulse. They have 4 cards in hand. They Brainstorm in response. I feel like that's a card you probably wanted to play on your main phase, because if you hit a show and tell, you could have put a Atraxa into play. Reckless Impulse. They have a Spell Pierce. Okay. That was my concern. 4 cards still in hand, and they redrew a card, which is pretty interesting because they could have fetched it away. Looks like they're going to cast a Sneak Attack here. Lotus Petal. There's the Sneak Attack, red mana, and Emrakul. Alright, so we lose game number 2, and we're off to game 3. So they opened up on double Force of Will Spell Pierce. Granted, they exiled 1 Force of Will to the other, but still, that's a pretty good hand. We will submit. I needed to draw a little bit less lands there. Like, I could have jammed the Rail Monsoon Mage on turn 2, and maybe I should have, but I wasn't 100% sure that they were on Sneak and Show. Like, they could be on some sort of Fantasticar deck that happens to be Izzet instead of Dimir, which was a thought. Because I know that our opponent is known for playing Izzet Delver. So I was like, well, maybe there's a chance they're messing around with the Fantasticar, and I didn't want to play out the Rail Monsoon Mage. in hindsight, knowing that they're Snake and Shell, I should have just jammed the Rail Monsoon Mage on turn 2, but that's not what I did. Game 3 on the play. Sure, we'll keep. Our opponent has taken a mulligan to 5. We'll play Sandstone Needle and pass. They lead on a Scalding Tarn, Volcanic Island, and Ponder. They shuffled pretty quickly, 5 cards still in hand. We'll play Sandstone Needle and Ruby Medallion. They can't spell Pierce here, so if they want to burn a Force of Will, they can. So what our hand needs now is action. We have a lot of mana, but we have a single Reckless Impulse to dig. So another Reckless Impulse into like a Storm of Memories would be pretty good. Instead, we draw the land. I'll play the mountain. I could hold it for a Hex Magic, but I also don't want to dwindle my Sandstone Needle. Manamorphose. I think I'm going to just pass here. I could cycle the Manamorphose right now and hope to spike something meaningful, which is an option. But I think my odds aren't great, and maybe I'm better off next turn by not burning the Sandstone Needle. I could be wrong. Now they have a City of Traitors. Show and tell. We cannot put anything onto the battlefield. Oh, I'm just dead. Okay. I was not expecting this. On a mulligan to 5, I was not expecting them to just kill me on turn 3. Now they play Sneak Attack. If they have Emrakul, I'm dead, but they get another 10 looks with another copy of Atraxa. They're going to abrade my Ruby Medallion. Yep. And now another Atraxa Grand Unifier. They did not hit the Emrakul, but they did hit a Force of Will, as well as a Stock Up. So Stock Up digs 5 cards deep for the Emrakul. They play another copy of Omniscience, Lotus Petal, and now the Stock Up. And they did find the Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. So I will concede. Oh, they skipped through their attack? Oh, no, my bad. The extra turn. What am I thinking? I'm going to see what the next card would have been. Hex Magic. So if I would have cycled Manamorphose, damn. Maybe this is my own fault. And then we would have drawn 4. It's not going to let me draw 4, will it? I guess I could have gotten there if I was just more aggressive. Wow. Okay, so maybe it's my fault for playing a little too conservatively, costing me match number 1. Assuming that all of these things resolve, but based on what we saw, they didn't have any interaction, so I guess this one is my own fault. Bummer. We are now 0-1.
Building a new deck usually means getting hit with a dozen different shipping fees from a dozen different sellers. It adds up fast, and honestly, it's the worst part of buying cards. That's why I switched to Card Trader Zero. You shop their global marketplace, but instead of having every seller ship to you, they ship to Card Trader's hub first. Card Trader then packs everything into a single shipment for you, and it saves a small fortune on shipping fees. This package from Card Trader just arrived. These are 4 Dark Rituals that came from 4 different sellers, but they all arrived in one envelope, and every card was quality checked by the Card Trader team before it hit my door. Check out the link in the description to try Card Trader Zero's optimizer for yourself. Stop paying for multiple shipments and get just one.
Let's try to recover here in match number 2. Bounce back from, a loss that may or may not be my own fault. It probably is. So here we have a 1-lander on the play. I'm going to mulligan this into a hand that does not function. We'll go to 5. Okay then, I guess we're keeping an unplayable 5 because this deck cannot win on 4. Ancient Tomb pass. They play Verdant Catacombs for a basic forest. Ignoble Hierarch, Cradle control. So in theory, what should be a good matchup, but I mulligan to 5 and can't cast any spells. Pass the turn. Seething Song is not a terrible draw, despite not being a mountain, because if I do draw a mountain, I can go Seething Song, Rail Monsoon Mage, and then Ren's Resolve and hopefully hit some mana in order to win. They play White of the Reliquary and Birds of Paradise, Sandstone Needle. We'll pass the turn. They probably know what I'm playing now. They play a Scythe Cat Cub and a Bayou, and they attack. I'll take 4. So it's worth noting, with the White of the Reliquary being untapped due to Vigilance, they do have Bazooka Bog available. So Storm of Memories is not going to be incredible if I attempt to win here. They besiege you, my Ancient Tomb, that's fine. We're still able to try to win here. We'll play Rite of Flame, Rail Monsoon Mage, play the Seething Song. This is the second instant or sorcery this turn for transforming the Rail. We'll say no. Play Ren's Resolve, trigger. We can auto-yield here. Tails. I go to 15. Rite of Flame makes 3 mana, so they could Bazooka Bog here if they choose. We'll say Tails, no. 4 spells for transforming. We'll play Reckless Impulse. Tails. No. Let's turn off our auto yields. I can do Hex Magic and then respond with Seething Song, and I believe that this gives me 2 chances to flip now. So we'll say Tails, yes, Seething Song. I guess I had 1 extra. I didn't need to respond with Seething Song here. I guess it keeps my Rail Leyline Prodigy alive. In this spot, Hex Magic would be worse than a Jeska's Will. We'll ultimate the Rail Leyline Prodigy, play the Ruby Medallion from hand, and the opponent concedes. Alright, so we managed to get there on our mulligan to 5 where we did next to nothing for the first 4 turns, but I'll take it. And I think I'm good just resubmitting here. I don't suspect that they're a Deafening Silence deck, so I don't really feel the need to bring in Blast Zone. Game number 2 on the draw, we will keep. So this hand is actually a really good Hex Magic hand. You can play turn 1 Needle, turn 2 Mountain. Our opponent just conceded. Okay. Maybe they didn't mean to play this land on turn 1? I don't know. But I will take it, and we are now 1-1 in this Legacy League. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. We're on the draw for match number 3, and I realized that while laughing that our opponent conceded, I never explained why that hand was a good Hex Magic hand in the previous round. So we had the ability to play turn 1 Sandstone Needle, turn 2 Mountain, play Hex Magic, exile our entire hand, and then draw 6 new cards. So that's not a hand where Jeska's Will is particularly good, but it would have been an incredible Hex Magic hand, but we were denied the opportunity. Here we have a really solid hand. We'll keep this. Turn 1 Ruby Medallion into a potential turn 2 win, depending on what our opponent's doing. They play Volcanic Island into Goblin Welder. Okay. Oh, this is definitely a turn 2 hand. We'll play Ancient Tomb and Ruby Medallion. Don't daze me. Pass the turn. They play Seat of the Synod, a Lotus Petal, Mox Opal. They use the Welder, and they have the camera. So I'm just dead. Turn 2 win. Wow. I guess they had all these. I'm not going to sit here and make them draw their entire deck and kill me. Ah, brutal. We had such a good hand. I'll bring in the Leyline of the Voids. We probably want Blast Zone too, because they might have some sort of hate permanence. Trying to figure out what to board out here. There's no real obvious card that I'm like, I don't really want this. I think we could probably afford to cut something like Rite of Flame, and then maybe 1 land, like a Sandstone Needle. We'll try this. On the play for game 2, sure, we'll keep. Leyline of the Void. Player Mountain, pass the turn. Volcanic Island into Goblin Welder. We'll play Ancient Tomb and Hex Magic for 4. They have Force of Will. Okay. So they're on a heavier blue splash than I've seen recently. Okay. Loki, God of Mischief, Urza's Bauble. So they're probably playing the list that won the showcase then. I believe the Force of Wills were on the sideboard of that list. That list did feature 4 main deck copies of Loki. We'll play our land, play the Rail Monsoon Mage. They have 4 cards. We'll play Seething Song, Trigger, Tails, Seething Song, Ren's Resolve, Tails, Ren's Resolve, into 2 lands. Not ideal. So I can play Burning Wish floating 3, which is enough to empty the warrants for 10. The question is, does 10 goblins win here? I'm not sure that it does. And I'm 1 mana short of Storm of Memories. We'll play the Burning Wish. It's the 3rd spell for transforming the Rail Monsoon Mage. I'll say Tails. Yes. So if I grab the empty, they have to beat a Leyline and a 2-turn clock. And I have the upside of potentially flipping the Rail and killing both their creatures. The alternative would be grabbing like Jeska's Will and hoping that the top 3 cards flip the Rail Monsoon Mage, which seems pretty unlikely. So I think I'm going to grab the Empty the Warrens and hope that we flip the Rail here. Alright. Tails never fails. Boom. So we'll move this over. We get 10 goblins and I can kill both their creatures. One here, one there. Pass. Our opponent has conceded the game. Off to game 3. I think no changes from my side. I will submit. Pretty solid 7-card hand. We will keep. Always open up Leyline in your 7 with a playable 6. I mean, why is that so difficult? Why can't we just do that all the time? They play Mishra's Bauble, Seat the Synod, into Haywire Might. Okay. Unfortunate. So they have an answer to the Leyline. We draw Hex Magic. We'll play Mountain and pass the turn. They have Urza's Saga and Loki God of Mischief. They swing. 4 cards in their hand. We'll play Ancient Tomb. And I'm going to play the Rail here. I could play the Hex Magic, but my concern is I boarded out 4 rituals, and they forced the Rail. Okay, so that probably buys me a little bit of time. My concern with playing the Hex Magic, which might have eaten the Force there, is if they just let it go and then counter the mana, or I don't hit mana, then I'm screwed. And we boarded out 4 copies of Rite of Flame, so that line isn't as safe. They play Lotus Petal, and now they swing. They play Sewer Valence Cam. This will draw a card. So they're actually pretty close to having the combo if they have Welder. They play Sink in a Stupor as a land. 1 card remains. Alright, it appears they don't have Welder. We draw another land. We'll play Hex Magic for 5. Not the best. Play a Mountain. Pass the turn and hope that we're not dead. They did not use Haywire Might or Urza's Saga on the end step. Little surprised by that. They're floating a mana. Grab Skateboard. Taps my Mountain. Urza's Bauble. They equip the Loki, so they must not have the win right now. And they swing. They'll draw a card off the Bauble. We draw another Ren's Resolve. We will... Oh, I'm at 6. My life total is getting a little low here. Okay. We'll play Ruby Medallion. Force of Negation exiles Pinnacle Emissary. Play the Mountain. Rail Monsoon Mage. And I'm really hoping we transform here so I can kill both their creatures. Reckless Impulse. Fails. We failed. Pass the turn. They're going to use the Haywire Might and exile the Leyline. Weird time to do that, but okay. They re-equip the Skateboard to trigger Loki. They play another Seat of the Synod, so they're desperate for red mana. Pinnacle Emissary, 2 cards in hand. Equips the Skateboard to the Pinnacle Emissary. And I have to block that here. Okay, that's annoying. Burning Wish. I mean, I think their card has to be Force Blue card to stop me from winning here. I'll go to 3, play Ruby Medallion. Desperate Ritual. Burning Wish. Yes. We'll grab Storm of Memories. Play Ren's Resolve. Play the Mountain. And we'll just play Storm of Memories here. Desperate Ritual. Ren's Resolve. And now we can actually play the Manamorphose to give me an extra card for the Hex Magic in the graveyard. And we hit another Manamorphose. Well, we hit the Manamorphose we put to the graveyard, which gives me another card for the Hex Magic. Reckless Impulse. And now this will cast the Hex Magic for 4. We'll play Burning Wish. Yes. Grab the Grape Shot. Ren's Resolve. Reckless Impulse. And our opponent just conceded the match. Okay. Well, Ruby Storm beats the deck that recently won the Legacy Showcase, I believe it was. It was either that or a challenge, but I was pretty sure it was the Showcase. We are now 2-1, and maybe should be 3-0 if I had made a different decision, but here we are. Alright, let's try to win match number 4. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. We're back for the 4th match, and on the draw, we will keep. Our opponent usually plays combo decks. I faced them with weird show and tell variants in the past, like non-stock builds, and then Doomsday. I have no idea what they're playing today. Underground Sea and Thoughtseize. Unfortunate. So they probably take the Rail Monsoon Mage in this spot. We'll see what they actually do. And they do take the Rail Monsoon Mage. We draw a Ren's Resolve. We'll play the Sandstone Needle and pass. Polluted Delta, 4 cards still in their hand. They play a Brainstorm. We draw Hex Magic. That's a good one. Okay, so we'll play Hex Magic, playing around Days in this spot. Potential 5 cards we get to see here. And they're going to Force of Will. Wow. Exiling Days. They have 2 cards remaining. And they Surveil with Undercity Sewers. So, Thoughtseize, Days, Force of Will. Not a bad hand versus username Bryant_Cook. 3 cards in hand. They play Ponder. And now a Marsh Flats. 2 cards left. Manamorphose. We're going to lose the Sandstone Needle here. Let's play Reckless Impulse. We actually hit the Ruby Medallion. Desperate Ritual. Play the Ruby Medallion. 1 mana floating. We'll play Manamorphose. Red. Manamorphose. We need 1 more red here to be able to play Storm of Memories. We did not hit. We'll play Ren's Resolve. That does it. Rite of Flame. Land. Storm of Memories! Boom! Take that, Doomsday. Manamorphose. Red. Ren's Resolve. Manamorphose. I love hitting the Manamorphose first because it means that the Hex Magic gets to exile more cards later. We'll play Desperate Ritual. Reckless Impulse. Rite of Flame. Might as well play the Desperate Ritual so that way we can flash it back with the Storm of Memories. Hex Magic for 5. And now the final Storm of Memories flashes back Desperate Ritual. All the mana in the world. We'll play Ruby Medallion. Ruby Medallion because I can. Why not? We'll play Rite of Flame. I suppose I'll play a Rail Monsoon Mage. Can't hurt. We'll play Burning Wish. No response. Tails. Yes. 20 loyalty for this Rail Leyline Prodigy. And we'll grab a Grape Shot. Target you. Love it. Turn 3, win through Thoughtseize, Days, Force of Will. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. So while our opponent is playing Doomsday, I don't think you're supposed to bring in Mindbreak Trap. Like, Doomsday's a deck that can just completely ignore this with Dark Ritual Doomsday. And then, in the meantime, your deck is diluted. So, I think you're probably supposed to just resubmit. And that's it, really. We're not getting the matchups that Mindbreak Trap and Leyline to the Void are really good in. And I think Ruby Storm, in particular, is good at beating traditional hate. So, things like Chalice of the Void, Sphere of Resistance, things like that, Ruby Storm naturally beats. What it really struggles against, and I considered building my sideboard against it, is things like Deafening Silence. Deafening Silence just hoses this deck. So if you're seeing a lot of Deafening Silence in your metagame, I would not play Ruby Storm. Or you have to modify your deck to beat it. So I did upload a video a few months ago where we play blue in Legacy Ruby Storm, and that provides you with answers to Deafening Silence. I think Mono Red is probably better, but that blue list does allow you to beat Deafening Silence. So there's obvious trade-offs. Here we have a 1-land hand that doesn't really function. You could pray to draw land number 2, but I think I'd rather just mulligan. This is better. We'll keep. Get rid of Ren's Resolve. And this hand does what I was describing earlier when our opponent conceded match number 2. We get to go turn 1 Sandstone Needle, turn 2 Mountain, Hex Magic for 5. They play Underground Sea into Ponder. We'll play Sandstone Needle and pass. They play Scalding Tarn, 6 cards still in their hand. They cycle a Street Wraith, so they might be close. Now they fetch with Scalding Tarn, Dark Ritual, Fantasticar, okay. That's 2 spells. Lotus Petal. So they're telling me that I need to have a turn 2 win here, which we currently do not have. Wow! Thoughtseize is their 4th spell. What a hand. Notice how they also sequenced so that way Mindbreak Trap did not matter. The Fantasticar was the 2nd spell. Hopefully they take Hex Magic here. I think that's how I win, is if they take Hex Magic and then I get lucky and draw Storm of Memories. Come on, take the Hex Magic. It's honestly the worst card in this hand. They do take Hex Magic. Alright, we need to draw Storm of Memories. We have 2 chances between the draw step and Manamorphose. There's a world in which Reckless Impulse hits like Seething Song Storm of Memories, but I don't want to have to rely on that. We're using a blue for a Ponder. Let's see a shuffle here. They do shuffle. Okay. We hit. We actually hit. Rite of Flame. Desperate Ritual. Manamorphose. Also, this doesn't give us the win. It just means that we're not dead. Like, I still have to piece together a win after this. Seething Song. Reckless Impulse. Which is more likely now that I drew that Seething Song. Like, this is much more of a card that's likely to win here. Come on, Force of Will, the Reckless Impulse. Do it. We'll play Rite of Flame. Desperate Ritual. Storm of Memories for 8. No, the first card was Hex Magic. That's not good. The card gets exiled, so you can't leave it in your graveyard and try to cast it later. So it doesn't really matter. Manamorphose. So we have Manamorphose plus the Reckless Impulse to hit here. Alright, well I drew a Ren's Resolve. So we're going to have a lot of mana, but I'm going to need to hit some action. Reckless Impulse. There's the Burning Wish. Seething Song. Rite of Flame. Now, Storm of Memories will cast the Desperate Ritual. Our opponent has conceded the game. They had turn 2 Fantastic Car with a Thoughtseize, and we had a turn 2 win on top of it. How insane is that? And we are now 3-1. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. The final round, we're on the draw. We have a 5-land hand. I have no clue what our opponent's playing. If they're on a blue deck, this could actually be pretty good, being able to hit our land drops and having draw spells. I know it's risky. I'm going to keep it. If they kill me, they kill me. Lands? Yep, it's lands. Okay, so probably not a great hand versus lands. Medallion's good. Alright, so we'll play the Ruby Medallion. Pass the turn. Need to hope that they don't have Boseiju Who Endures in their hand. Thespian Stage, Caracas. So I'm dead to a crop rotation. And there it is. Well, they grab a Wasteland. That's interesting. Well, I'm dead to another crop rotation. So if they have another crop rotation, I lose to that. Hex Magic. Okay, so if I draw a Seething Song off of this Manamorphose, we could actually win here. Red. Desperate Ritual might do it too. Well, let's play the Desperate Ritual. Hex Magic for 4? Oh my. Oh my. Are we really going for it here? So if they have another crop rotation, they can grab Bojuka Bog. There's something I'm trying to think about here. We'll play Seething Song. Let's play the Reckless Impulse. Burning Wish and Storm of Memories. I really don't think I can beat a second crop rotation. They have 2 cards. So something I could do is just play the Storm of Memories from exile and don't burn the Desperate Ritual. Because if they do have the crop rotation, I can try again next turn, depending on what my draw step is. So I think we just play Storm of Memories and force them to crop rotation for Bojuka Bog. Looks like they don't have it. Okay. We'll play Reckless Impulse. We can actually splice the Desperate Ritual here. Boom! We did it! Love it. Okay. We'll play Manamorphose. Red. I guess we'll play this Manamorphose because we get to cast it twice. Red. And now this time we'll do blue, which might seem a little odd, but I did mention this earlier in the deck tech. If I play the Wish, I can then hardcast the Mindbreak Trap, so if they end up having something that's like annoying, I can just ignore it. We'll play the Ruby Medallion, and now the Wish costs 1. We'll play Hex Magic for 4. I guess we'll play Monsoon Mage. A lot of turn 2s this video. Also, we kept a really bad hand for a turn 2 win, but we managed to make it work. Alright, they're at 20, so I guess we'll play Ren's Resolve. Trigger. I'll say Tails. Ouch. Burning Wish. Tails. We lose the flip. Yes. We'll grab Grape Shot. Target you. Alright, we're 1 game away from a 4-1 finish. I don't think we sideboard. I don't know if we've... Oh no, I boarded in Leyline against Painter. Okay, I was thinking, I'm like, I don't know if we boarded once this video. But I guess we are here. Not boarding, but I guess we did at least once, I mean. So I thought you could bring in Blast Zone. There's Sphere of Resistance, but like, I think Blast Zone to blow up Sphere of Resistance is wishful thinking. You do have Ruby Medallion and Braille Monsoon Mage, so I don't really love that. This seems okay. I don't love that our only red source is destroyed by Wasteland, but we're a 17 land deck, and I think mulliganing doesn't really help you. So I'm inclined to keep this. Our opponent with a mulligan. They have Mox Diamond getting rid of Wasteland into another Wasteland. Fear Resistance. Well, that is a strong start. I'll play Mountain, pass the turn. Drawing the Mountain was huge. So next turn I can play Ancient Tomb into Rail Monsoon Mage into Dark Depths. They had a really good hand. Holy moly. We'll play Ancient Tomb and Rail Monsoon Mage. Pass. Urza Saga, so not Thespian Stage. They destroy my Ancient Tomb, that's fine. I think here we just play Sandstone Needle and pass. I guess I can attack for one. Urza Saga goes to the second chapter. They have a Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth. So now they can make a Construct token. Okay, so my spells cost the normal amount. Sphere Resistance makes them cost +1, and then Rail reduces them. So I currently can play spells as you normally would. I can go Burning Wish into Shattering Spree and kill the sphere, but I think the downside of that is, well, actually that might work. So we'll play the Burning Wish, floating a colorless, tails, yes, grab the Shattering Spree wherever it is, tap, and now we'll kill the Sphere of Resistance, tails, no. And now my Manamorphose brings me up to 4 mana, so I can actually play Storm of Memories, tails, no. Red, we'll Manamorphose again, tails, no. Red. Seething Song was huge here. It allows me to play the Ren's Resolve pre-Storm of Memories. No. And now we'll play Ren's Resolve. And I can flip the Rail now, but we lose the flip. We'll play Rite of Flame, trigger the Rail Monsoon Mage. This time we win the flip, we transform. We'll ultimate the Rail Leyline Prodigy. We will play Storm of Memories. Do you have Crop Rotation? Is your final card in hand? The opponent says GG's and concedes. Alright, so we went 4-1, where the only match we lost was because I probably played too conservatively. I loved Hex Magic. I thought it was great. It's definitely an improvement, in my opinion, over the Juska's Will. Yes, there were a few spots here or there where Juska's Will would have been slightly better, but I think on average, Hex Magic was the better card. And on top of that, Storm of Memories is just so powerful. If you're still living in the day where you want to be playing bonus round over these cards, I don't know what's wrong with you. I think bonus rounds time is come and gone, and now we're in a new era of Ruby Storm where Storm of Memories and Hex Magic are what you should be doing. My 60, I'm pretty locked in on. My sideboard, I'm not as convinced. So, do you want to be playing Mindbreak Trap and Leyline of the Void? Well, I didn't get the matchups today, but Legacy does have a lot of combo in it right now, so I think, yes, I probably would play the same sideboard again. But if you have an idea of something that you think is better, I'm willing to listen to you. Like, I'm not going to just say, no, I'm the only one that has ideas. That's not true. But just because you suggest something doesn't mean that it works out sometimes. And I do struggle sometimes with people that post in the comment section after I say I'm open to ideas and then I don't necessarily like their ideas. I still want to hear them. It's just we may not see eye to eye on if that slot is viable. And it's not a me versus you thing. It's just, it's all digital cardboard to me. And I just want to play the digital cardboard that wins the most games. So that's what I'm really looking to do here. Alright, enough of me rambling and ranting. I really do appreciate you watching the video. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe. I'm sorry that I cost myself a match, but, you know, you live and learn, and now I will likely play that Manamorphose when I can in the future. So, thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, keep storming. If you enjoyed today's video and you happen to be looking for a sideboard guide, head on over to theepicstorm.com/shop where you'll find guides for just $10. Everything from Legacy, the Epic Storm, Pauper, Cycle Storm to Vintage, Doomsday, and so much more. It's the easiest way to level up your combo game and master that metagame matrix.